So I decided to come out this evening because I want to intentionally focus on the things that I'm not great at, which so far at the moment my biggest weak points are riding at night and turning right. So I figure the more that I do both, the more comfortable I'll get. And I remembered to remove the ND filter tonight, so it's it's going to be interesting to see what the footage is like. I've left the settings the same as what I would have during the day. And I'm not sure how much it's going to pick up, but it's quite a strong headwind at the moment. And I'm just riding, I have no idea where I'm going. I'm just, you know, the good thing about Shido, Trot Park, all of these kind of areas is if you just keep riding around, you'll eventually figure out and find somewhere that you recognise. Which I do not have a clue where I am right now, but that's fine. Yeah, now I do. But something I've learnt to do with time is to just do the scary thing, do the uncomfortable thing over and over and over again until, you know, essentially it's how I've turned my weaknesses into my strengths. And it's funny because some of my greatest weaknesses are now my greatest strengths. Like I used to be absolutely petrified of public speaking, whereas now I absolutely enjoy it, and I love whether it's you know, talking to an audience on YouTube, or people in person. I really enjoy sharing, you know, different perspectives and different ideas, and you know, once upon a time, I guess the biggest reason that I was so uncomfortable previously was I didn't even really know my own truth. But I've done so much inner questioning and reflecting and really just understanding who I am and why I believe what I believe. And, you know, I question everything constantly, like my own thoughts, my own beliefs, which at the end of the day, beliefs are just thoughts that we continue to think repeatedly, so we can always change our belief systems. And that was something that I never used to do. I never used to allow myself to change my mind. Like, I would always, you know, have the mindset of if I said something, I had to stick to it. Whereas these days, I could believe something now, and in 5 minutes time allow myself to change my belief when I have, you know, more information and more data to come to a different conclusion, which just, you know, challenges that belief system. And it's actually one of the most enjoyable things to allow yourself to question your own beliefs and your own motives and just everything in general, because then the more you do it, the more you question your own thoughts and beliefs and everything, the more, you know, whatever you believe actually gets stronger instead of weaker. So it's it sure beats putting a lot of time and effort to make excuses for why you believe something when you're not even sure why you believe it. Because a lot of the time I didn't really understand my own beliefs, and, you know, didn't want to question them because I didn't want to have the chance that I'd have to change them, and then everything changes. And yeah, now I really embrace it. And, you know, that's why I discovered yes theory, I don't know, sometime a couple of years ago probably. And when I discovered yes theory on YouTube, that really opened my eyes, because you know, if you've never seen them before, they constantly find people to go and do things that they may not have necessarily done before. Like, I've seen them get people to go overseas or skydiving, or, you know, just heaps of random stuff. Just to, I mean, their whole motto is seek discomfort, which I love. I've learned to really love to seek discomfort, and is something that I actively do now. I mean, I'm riding in some pretty ridiculously strong wind right now in the dark, and yeah, and on a bike it's it's very different than being in a car. And especially on a pretty light bike, you feel so much of that wind blowing you around. But there's only one way to get used to it, and that's just keep doing it over and over and over again. It's like going to the gym. I mean, I personally don't go to the gym. I'd rather run a chainsaw or ride a bike, or, you know, something else than go and stare at a wall on a treadmill. But each their own. But it's the same thing like building muscle. You know, at first it's going to be painful and uncomfortable, but, you know, then you exceed that weight and you get stronger and you can lift heavier, and, you know, it's the same with everything. It's just repetition and And most of all, I've noticed, you know, especially I've loved to really study the mindset of people at high level, like, you know, Rossi, and, you know, with bikes, and even, you know, Conor McGregor, and so many different people in different areas. And the one thing that you really see in common is mindset. Like, I mean, especially at that high level, all it takes is for them to have some doubts and stuff come up and not believe that they can do it, then they're not at peak performance. And, you know, I'm not I'm no Rossi or, you know, any of those guys, but you can learn so much, you know. And this doesn't even apply to bikes, like it just applies to life. I've learned so many life lessons from just paying attention to what other people have got to say, and, you know, what works and what doesn't work. But then I also realise that, you know, we are all having a unique human experience, and what works for one might not work for another, and what didn't work for one might work for the other. It's, you know, it very much depends on your life experience and what you have and haven't done, and what you have and haven't tried, and what you've overcome. And yeah, it's I just love life and love learning and experimenting and experiencing. And now, are you coming this way or are you turning this way? Actually, this, I just realised that this has got quite a few right turns that I can do. And I'm really curious to see what the GoPro footage is going to turn out like tonight. I've got it set to ISO 100 minimum and maximum 400, so it is, I mean, the sun has completely gone down. And there's just a little bit of light in the sky. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the GoPro does now that there's no, I think I had a ND64 on the GoPro the other night, so that's why it was so dark on that footage. One thing I've just realised at night is visors on bike helmets are nowhere near as clear as a glass windscreen in a car. Well, a quart is not going to do the job, which is a good practice to practice a quick tight U-turn. Well, I won't bore you with with me just riding around aimlessly for practice. So I'll leave you with those last few Christmas lights, and I hope you're having an incredible week. And I appreciate you watching, and if you feel like liking and subscribing, please feel free to do so. It's greatly appreciated. I absolutely love it when I see there's more people that have liked and subscribed in the comments, and you know, as well, like if anyone ever has any questions, especially while I'm brand new, you know, I'm more than happy to answer what my experience is or what my opinion is or anything. Yeah, don't hesitate to ask. Anyway, have an incredible night.